Hello everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and today I would like to share with you guys my final thoughts on the Sharp by Design Evo Typhoon. Now, at first I was a little confused because I thought it was just the SBD Evo, but the retailer that I bought this from, DLT Trading, they got a butt ton of these in. Unfortunately, they're all gone. I will still link it just so you guys can go and salivate and be upset for not getting one. But they got a lot of different variations in. There's 3 different blade shapes, and I always thought that the one that was called a Typhoon was just the really crazy looking one, the Harpoon Tanto. But apparently they're all just called the Evo Typhoon, just a different blade shape. So this one's the drop point. Honestly, it's hardly even deserving of being called a drop point. It's really more of a straight back. In use it feels like one, it performs just like one, and it's perfectly fine. It's not going to be a crazy workhorse of a knife. It is just a tiny bit thick behind the edge, but the blade stock thickness isn't anything crazy. Really what you're paying for here is, of course, the design and the crazy fit and finish on this thing. I'm telling you, the machining work on this is like nothing I've ever experienced before, and it took me a second to really be able to appreciate that. I believe I've personally handled this long enough to be able to give some fair thoughts behind this. The price on this was $375. Now I know it's a good chunk of money, and that's just as it is. You still have to do taxes and possibly shipping. DLT Trading is awesome because they do include different like payment method things to like pay in portions, but sometimes that adds a little bit more. So this knife actually cost me, I wouldn't say significantly more, but to be able to get such a unit, I am making like monthly payments on this, which is extremely manageable for me. So that's how I was able to get this, because I don't have $400 just laying around, right? I'm not made of money, but I really wanted to be able to get one of these and just experience it overall. So this one that you guys are looking at here, this is called the aspirated version. Typically a lot of the SBD knives, they have just beautiful inlay work with carbon fiber of whether it's fat carbon fiber or shred or traditional. They have all of them, really. This was the one that really stood out to me the most because of the crazy milling that's in the handle. And what they've done here is genuinely something quite special. So the action is something that I can't really say anything negative about. When I did my unboxing of this, I said that it felt like a knife that was well broken in, and it honestly hasn't changed much since then. I have not taken this to work, but I have used it a lot. I've completely destroyed the edge. I've dulled it out because I was using this knife for a lot of cardboard destruction from when my family and I go, fiance and I, yeah, family I guess, when we go like bulk grocery shopping. So we get a lot of stuff and like really thick cardboard boxes, and I was just using this. Anytime I get a new knife, I always got to use it on really heavy duty cardboard just to see how it does. I don't do any type of destruction testing or like crazy duty field use or stuff like that. I'm a basic user. I still use my stuff regardless of how much it costs or how rare it is. But that's definitely where I gathered my thoughts when saying that, yeah, this isn't something that's super thin behind the edge and it's going to be a crazy slicer with a good edge on it. Now it is still nice and sharp, but it's not going to be something that performs over something that's maybe a taller full flat ground knife, maybe a slightly different blade shape. There's a good bit of belly up towards that tip, so cuts can slip out of it. But if you angle the knife, of course, just a little bit, you'll be able to trap material in and stay in the cut just a little bit longer. Overall use of this has been excellent. Fidget factor on another planet. It's been wonderful. This is OEM'd by Riot, and they just knock it out of the park. Some of the stuff that they're doing on this particular knife and stuff for SBD is incredible. They have this detent nub. It's kind of like this multifaceted detent system that just creates some of the smoothest action I've ever experienced. And while it is not super drop shreddy, I do have some heavy KPL in here. I did try the light, but typically when I get a new knife, I try to go through all three different, you know, whether it's heavy, original, or lightweight, just to see what I'm actually going to prefer. There are some knives where I prefer the heavy. There are some knives where I prefer the light. I don't know, but right now I'm stuck on the heavy, and it feels good. It feels nice. It's super slick. You can't feel those bearings at all. It does have ceramic ball bearings, and I believe it was on a nylon cage. I can't remember, and I can't see them because the way that it's all machined is very tight in there. There is not much room for debris to get in there, which is super sweet. I do definitely appreciate that. There is a hardened steel insert that has an over travel stop. I do definitely appreciate that. T8 for that bit. The decorative pivot here on the right side of the knife, there is no hole for lefty carry, so that's unfortunate. It is just a right-handed carry knife. This knife is extremely easy to take apart and do maintenance on, and honestly, to clean it out, you don't even really have to take it apart. You can just take some compressed air and just all the way through, because of all the crazy milling that's on this thing. Now, with that being said, with the size of this knife, it is a large full-size knife, but it is extremely lightweight because of all the crazy holes in the handle, and they're all finished extremely well. Let's get the weight on this. Now, as I mentioned in some of my other videos, I'm probably gonna have a little break in this video because my phone does overheat quite easily. It's very hot where I live right now. It's like almost 100 degrees. And yeah, I know if you live on the sun or in Arizona, which is the equivalent, you know, it's probably hotter for you, but for me, this is pretty freaking hot. Let's try that again. 4 ounces, nothing crazy, nothing super special, but yeah, that's that. Let's do some size comparison knives. Let's do some big ones first. Here we have the Wii Praxis. Let's get this a little centered up. So pretty much the same exact length overall, just a little slender. Let's do the Demco 80-20.5. Let's do a Benchmade Bug Out. F5.5. Last two are going to be some Spyderco knives. My PM2. It's a little bit longer than my PM2, just in overall length. And last, -5. So yeah, again, full-size knife. They do make a mini of this, and I am very tempted to get it, but that one is, I believe, the same price. And while I've never been one to say, oh well, less knife should equal less money, no, technically not. If anything, smaller knives could be more expensive because it is a little bit more difficult to create the same fit and finish and tolerances on a smaller scale. So maybe it's a good thing that they've kept it around the same price as the full size, but at least the option is there. I know Blade HQ has a butt ton of them, and DLT Trading has some, so I will be linking down. Hopefully you guys are able to snag one of the minis. I think that those look pretty darn cool. Again, this being the full size, this is probably going to cater to people who just want something a little bit fuller in hand, and it definitely does feel quite wonderful in hand. I have large to extra large size hands, but relatively slim fingers. So for me to get a good grasp of this, it's no issue at all. It's genuinely wonderful. The jimping here on the spine, beautiful. I'm able to sit on that rather large flipper tab there. I like how it's done. It sticks out a lot, like a lot, but it's just their design, and it works really well, and I do definitely appreciate that. At this point, going into any negatives possibly, any nitpicks really? Well, they don't have any internal milling, so there's that. right? You know, that's it's kind of a bummer. Yeah, you know. Obviously that's a joke. I'm not retarded. But on a serious note, there is no jimping on this flipper tab, and while it is curved up in that way, it is very easy to use it. I just wish maybe there was just the finest little bit of jimping there. It would just make me feel a whole hell of a lot more comfortable. I'm, you know, a good 95% confident when interacting with that flipper tab. The only method of deployment on this. Now, with that statement being said, I have seen a couple other people somehow, I don't know how, but whether they have longer nails or maybe just the tip of their fingers just a little smaller than mine, I've seen people have been able to reverse flick it. For the life of me, I can't. But so I will just go ahead and say that, you know, this all up here is merely just decorative, and the only deployment method, the only proper deployment method is just that flipper tab. I would have definitely liked, at this price point, and I know that Riyadh is more than capable of it, some just very fine jimping on there would have been beautiful. Should have been there, could have been there, and it's not. So there's that. That's probably it, really. Little decorative piece right there that meets up all nice and well, perfectly centered. There's a little post there for lanyard people. It's nice and out of the way. It doesn't really take away from the design. I definitely appreciate that. The clip, again, fully milled titanium. It's on the shorter side. It's very flat. It is a little snug, but for me and for the typical pant material that I use, whether it's like shorts or jean material, I had no issue with, you know, having this in pocket. But if you have something with much thicker seams, yeah, it's gonna be kind of a snug fit. So, you know, there's that. But besides that, you know, the jimping, it could be added afterwards by a skilled person with some, you know, little files if you really wanted to do that. But that's really about it. That was probably the most pointless nitpick ever. This is essentially a perfect knife for what it is. It's not hard use. It's more of the enthusiast, more decorative side, but it's not something that you can shy away from, you know, actually using. It's just a visual preference, just a little nitpick that I have. I'm not a fan of satin finish. I'm not. It's not my thing. While it looks really cool, it's a fingerprint magnet. It doesn't stay looking nice for long, especially if you're actually planning to use it. Now, the finish that they do have on it, it's more of a coarser, and you can actually hear it a little bit. It's not a nail file, but the satin finish on it, it is on the coarser side, so it's definitely going to help hide scratches a whole lot better. The blade material that they're using here, I believe, is 20 CV. So it's nothing too crazy hard, but it's not soft either. I know it's well heat treated for, you know, the current industry standards. So, you know, there's that. But besides all those little nitpicks, it would have been nice if there was like maybe a couple different other blade finish options. I know that's something that I could do myself, and this is probably going to stay in the collection for a little bit. I don't know how long, but because of the blade shape, I won't be taking it to work as often. But, you know, still, like, it would be really difficult for me to get rid of this because of that action, the way this thing looks, the way that it actually does perform and cut. It is this is a good knife. It really is. I'm very thankful to have it now in the collection and to have been able to experience it. Hopefully some of you guys have been able to pick one of these up. If you guys see one on the aftermarket and somebody's trying to charge like an extra $100 for it, don't bother. While production on these is, you know, very spotty and they come and go, I would say just wait. You know, a while back when, you know, they did a first run of these, I don't believe that this aspirated version was available, but who's to say that the next time they make another batch of these that there won't be something even crazier, something even cooler, maybe some micro milling or texturing, because there is no texturing. It's just a, you know, bead blast or sandblast finish on the titanium. And while it looks very beautiful, I know that Riyadh is more than capable of doing cooler stuff than what this is. So maybe there'll be some Crane's Cutlery exclusives, or, you know, other crazy stuff. But of course, that things like that with more premium materials will jack up the price for sure. But as it is for now, this is wonderful. Do I recommend it? Yeah, I definitely do. If this is something that you're looking for, a full-size premium, pretty much straight drop, yeah, we'll call it a straight drop blade shape. You don't really care about the satin finish, or you're confident enough in changing that finish yourself, go for it. Yeah, this thing is pretty darn sweet. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and leave a like, leave your comments, whatever things you want to chat about in the comment section, and that's pretty much it. With that being said, I thank you guys for subscribing if you are, and of course your patience too. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, because I have plenty more reviews, content, I guess modification videos, and other fun stuff like that. So with that all being said, have a wonderful rest of your day.